Thanks very much. Is this thing on? Yeah, great to see already so many fantastic talks, and I see a definite theme emerging from today. One of the things that Lauren said just now is that the world doesn't need any more products. And yet here we all are making more and more stuff to throw into the world. Apps and websites and hardware. We're filling the world with more and more digital shit. Everyone wants to found a startup. You know, being a startup founder is the new starting a rock band, right? Everyone wants to be a unicorn. Not the kind of unicorn that John isn't, but the 3 comma club, as they call it, the billion-dollar business. You don't even have to have a good idea. According to the digital Dianetics, the lean startup, you can just pivot again and again and again until eventually you hit on a reasonable course of action. And the same is kind of true of agile development. And these were things I encountered a lot when I took a job a few years ago at a place called Huddle. Huddle is a B2B enterprise cloud collaboration tool, which is a whole lot of words put into an order. And B2B, of course, being that sector of software that user experience forgot. I was tasked with making the UX better, you know, by kind of sprinkling my magic UX fairy dust on top of a product that was already built. But in fact, actually tarting up the interface, which this is definitely the before version, would have helped quite a lot. But Huddle's real problem was something I think of as too many notes. You see, the thing in B2B is that the people who use the software are not the people who buy the software. And IT buyers, they like to have a lot of features, a lot of bullet points on the box for various reasons, one of which is that deployment is hard and you're planning for an uncertain future. But across enterprise, across government agencies, across creative agencies, the list of features that people wanted were different. And to appease all those customers, pivot after pivot, iteration after iteration, the product started to drag behind it the kind of technical and UX debt from every previous incarnation that it was. This is not an uncommon case of affairs. As software matures, it gets something that Kathy Sierra calls featureitis. In the beginning, a new thing comes along and it addresses a genuine unmet need, and we love it, and we get into it, and we see that need begets new need, features come along, competitors come along, the whole space starts to hot up. Now we've got Dropbox integration, now we've got Facebook login, now we've got social features. It's empowering. And we get to the peak of user happiness. A well-designed product turns its user into a superhero. And it could stop there, right? But it doesn't. On we go, adding more and more features to our product. You know, maybe we're trying to lock people into an annual update cycle or something. We start to hunt out the features we used to know where they were, and now we have to find them amid some incomprehensible layers of navigation. This is something that comes up a lot in usability testings, I hear, is that, especially when I was at Huddle, is that people will say, well, I can't find the one simple thing that I wanted to do. I can't find where it is anymore. As fully featured as we make our products, there's usually an irreducible core, what some call a Buddha essence, a simple idea around which we craft our experience. And once the software loses sight of that, well, the software sucks, or worse still, the users think that they're not good enough. And that's often when a challenger comes along and brings out a product that is focused back on that core. Think of something like Sketch competing with Photoshop or Illustrator. And users want to be empowered. As I say, they want to feel like a superhero. They don't just want the rational benefit of the product, but they want this emotive connection. They want self-reflexive benefits. They want to feel not only like a good user of the product, but that the product is somehow of them. So I said to Huddle that we needed a strategic approach for delivering a distinctive and simple proposition, and one that would deliver not only rational benefits, but also these emotional and self-reflexive benefits too. And I had just the thing. Branding. Branding. There we go. Simple, that was the last thing we were talking about. Yeah, branding. Now we know branding, of course, make the logo bigger, as Gavin says. Make the photography more expensive. Make a shiny, flashy microsite where we can rotate the product 360 degrees and, yeah, totes amazeballs, right? It's like so great. But it doesn't have to be that way. Your brand is not your logo. It's not your typeface. It's not your color palette. In fact, you could say that brand guidelines shouldn't define how we look, but how we behave. Because your brand is an idea. It's an idea of what you stand for. And you make that idea real every day through the things that you do. And you express it through your distinctive personality. It's a way of creating a sort of instinctive association between a particular value or quality and your product or your brand. If I say safe car, you say, there we go. If I say casual games console, you'd say, if I say instant camera, you say, what's that, Grandad? Or you might say Polaroid. So your brand is really this small idea that occupies a corner of our mind. It's a promise to your customers about what to expect from your product or your service, and it's a kind of statement of differentiation between you and the competition. And that distinctiveness drives the experience, and it drives business value. Consider the humble coffee bean, a commodity if ever there was one, but grind it into a cup, and you've got a product to sell. Sell it in a shop and you're offering a service. Put some comfy chairs and some smooth jazz in that shop and you're designing an experience. And makers come back to the shop again and again every day, and you've driven a behavioral transformation, creating preference, creating long-term loyalty. As Peter Drucker says, create the customer and the money will follow. You might have seen this from Simon Sinek in more recent years, his idea of the golden circle, and how the most compelling brands of our age, the Nikes and the Apples of the world, have found success by communicating their core beliefs, their core purpose. Their message doesn't start from what they do or how they do it, but why they do what they do. As he says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So building that customer experience starts from your why. Your core purpose, looking beyond the day-to-day operations and understanding ultimately what it is you're trying to achieve. Now, it's not about profits or shareholder value. Those things can't be an end unto themselves. There's a great story I often tell, it might even be true, about how the time that President Kennedy was going to the NASA building, and he's walking around the NASA building there, and he sees a janitor. And he says, so what do you do? And the janitor stands up straight, puts down his mop and says, Mr. President, I'm helping put a man on the moon. Why do you go to work every day? Why'd you get out of bed? We feel best and we work best when we feel the most rewarded. And sure, the money helps, but true reward comes from believing that what we do has purpose, has value. Speaking of value, hand in hand with core purpose are our core values, and values are the qualities or the virtues that we care the most about. To support our brand, our values need to be compelling to our customers and relevant to our product category, and meaningfully distinctive. Now, we know about core values, right? We may even in our company have had some brand consultant come in and with the management team and do some brand values exercises, and you get things like this: communication, respect, integrity, excellence. These are our values. My God, we believe these things, don't we? It's no wonder people think this branding stuff is bollocks. What do these things even mean? Who would not? Who would say they didn't support these things? Who would say, that they supported disrespect and disingenuousness and mediocrity? You'd end up sounding like a bunch of crooks. Yeah. Values. Poor old Volkswagen. Lovable, self-effacing Volkswagen. Everybody loves Herbie, right? Everyone loves their VW camper van. If only everything in life was as reliable as a Volkswagen. So they told us in the 80s, nicely owning the virtue of reliability, both of the cars themselves and, by extension, of the company. We're reliable. You can trust us. And now they've let us down with their emission scandal. And it's like we're not even angry, we're just disappointed. But the trying times aren't when we stop trying. For better or worse, our values are not a picture of who we want to be. They are a reflection of who we really are. But I can see this as a good thing. We get the organizational culture that we deserve. These impressive-sounding platitudes delivered from the top down, it's bullshit. It has to come from the bottom up. Every organization is made of individuals, so it stands to reason that the collective values of the company are the shared values of its people. Now, if our values and purpose drive what we say, then our personality drives how we say it. And Jason touched on this this morning about the way you express your personality. And it's true of brands too. Are we a bit cheeky? Are we buttoned up and formal? Are we a little bit way, a little bit were? Are we a geezer? Do we speak like a peer or like a parent? And personality is a great driver for creating memorable experience design, right? And in the stuff that we design, we can make that personality somehow integral to the experience. The characterful way we write microcopy or the way that we present information expresses our voice and our tone. The interface, whether it's made of words or affordances or indeed signifiers, kind of is the brand. Now, for years, the go-to example on brand personality has been these guys, Innocent Drinks. They got famous because of this funny, kind of irreverent copy that they would put on their products. And at the time, it really marked Innocent out as being different, non-corporate, and, well, innocent. So, of course, this kind of cheeky over-familiarity, this kind of matey way of talking to people is now the only possible, acceptable way for brands to communicate, right? Well, bollocks to that, too. I mean, Innocent were the first mover here. So we can forgive them. It did mark them out at the time as being different. But this caught on. Their success led to many other companies trying this cheeky tone of voice. It even got this name, wackaging, short for wacky packaging. And now it's bloody everywhere, co-opted by banks and utilities and other companies far from innocent. And it just gets a bit weary. Do we really want the bill from our water company speaking to us like this before we've even opened the envelope? And more seriously, how appropriate is this for someone who might be struggling to pay? It's okay to be different. The choice is not between that over-familiar personality and no personality. Look at these two iconic ads. Volkswagen again in happier days. Lovely, self-effacing Volkswagen. Their straightforward, honest, and playful tone here, talking about their engineering standards and their quality control. Contrasted with Rolls-Royce, here talking about how at 60 miles an hour, the loudest sounds were coming from the tick of the electric clock. And an authentically true idea expressed with this quiet confidence and charm. Two brands kind of pretty much talking about the same thing, in the same format of long copy ad, but poles apart on personality. And both authentic and both distinctive. So find a voice that's truly yours. We're very good at spotting fakes. We hate it when big brands start to pretend they're small and artisanal. And we're getting weary of that wackaging. So, be honest, be authentic, be appropriate. Because rarely, if ever, are you delivering something entirely new. You're competing against other products in a marketplace and other ways of solving a problem. We're fighting to get that small, differentiated idea into the customer's mind. You're a challenger. And the challenger's role is to disrupt the status quo. Make people think about a product category in new ways and turn any weaknesses they have into strengths. Successfully challenging means taking a different road. Zagging where others zig, or zigging where others zag. And I look around at our digital world today, our world of digital design, and I wish I saw more of this differentiation. In fact, instead I see trends. I see fashions. I see products that seek to copy more successful products. I see things like this. I see everything looking the same. Responsive design is great, and things like Bootstrap and its ilk are helpful. Of course they are. But together they've ushered in this sort of lack of differentiation. Or maybe they haven't. Maybe it's design culture itself that leads everything to looking like it needs to be set in a coffee shop or a coffee shop or a coffee shop. I've got a hunch that one tactic for differentiation is not being the same as everyone else. Design and brand personality can be more than just aesthetic tropes. Your personality can actually be used to really underscore your values and your differentiator, and really explain how it is you're disrupting the status quo. This was a car rental in the 50s in the US, dominated by market leader Hertz with delightfully PC ads like this one. Their challenger was Avis, who made advertising history when they came along and said, "We're number 2. So we try harder. We're number 2, so the lines are shorter at our desk." By making a virtue of their underdog position, they made themselves appear earnest and hungry, and in doing so, repositioned Hertz as being somehow lazy and complacent. Here's another one. This was car advertising in the 50s in the US. Big, right? Big, opulent, luxurious, big meant status. And then came this funny little thing from post-war Germany. Making a virtue out of small. Small's cheaper to run, it's cheaper to fix, it's easier to park. And in doing so, Volkswagen ushered in a whole new market category of small cars. 1984. In many ways. Apple launched the Macintosh with this 1984 commercial, positioning IBM as Big Brother and the IBM users as drones. And with the Macintosh, they popularized the category of the personal computer. Not just one you could personally own, although you could, of course, but one that had its own personality. So challengers reframe the conversation. They change our perception in their favor, and reframing can actually create whole new categories of which your brand can then be a first mover. Think of something like personal stereos, or luxury ice cream, or light beer. Now, I think everyone here is bought into the idea of user experience design and how that can be used to make better, more engaging products and services. But I do wonder how much of our UX process considers that crowded marketplace, the need to differentiate and to compete, the need to create business value. It's no secret I'm often a little bit frustrated with the UX community. I see a lot of tribalism, a lot of blanket adherence to dogma. UX can sometimes feel like an inward-looking, self-congratulatory, happy-clappy cult, throwing themselves at the wailing wall of Post-it notes. We like making artifacts, right? We like designing things. We like wireframes and prototypes and sketch notes, for the love of God, and even poorly defined memes, which, get misinterpreted by the shiny-faced marketing managers on LinkedIn. We love to make. we love to design, and when we can't design, we empathize. I'm being mean. Process and design and documentation are important, but it's a bit like learning to drive. You know, eventually you internalize all that process, and your eyes get firmly fixed on where you want to go. And why? It becomes about the outcome and not the process of getting there. And this is where I think UX as a discipline has an opportunity to step up. I get this question a lot in conferences. How do I convince the business of the value of UX? And I think there's a question that needs reframing to how can I make UX valuable to the business? This isn't about getting permission to play in a Montessori sandpit with Sharpies and Post-it notes, but changing the way that we work, to speak the language, integrate the processes, and above all, deliver the value that business needs. Yes, our methods are more human-centered and more engaging, but make no mistake, we are business transformation consultants, and our one true deliverable is behavioral change. A truly successful experience isn't limited to interaction or interface. It comes from a value proposition that delivers tangible benefit to a customer. Now, I think UX people should be really good at that because we're so close to the customer. But within the business, we need to do what it takes to be heard, be listened to. Empathy is okay, but empathy alone is for submissives. What is needed here is some leadership to swim upstream and use our expertise to help define the value proposition. Not just building the thing right, but building the right thing. And the right thing that can compete in a crowded marketplace where that value is often tapped out. Finding that differentiator is crucial. Every successful challenger from online-only insurance to lettuce in a bag turned an existing status quo on its head. And we can put that, I think, in our experience design. We can make that differentiator the core, irreducible core of our product design. Twitter was not the first blogging platform, but it created a whole new idea of micro-blogging. That 140-character limit, long may it continue, is the thing that makes Twitter what it is. Instagram deliberately stops you from uploading photos from your computer. You have to do it all on the phone. And why? Because, well, they're all about that instant experience. That's the experience they want to own. Back in the day with Huddle, we found intelligence was our differentiator. Rather than just being a Me Too collaboration tool, we could be the first intelligent collaboration tool, focusing the experience on the personalized delivery of targeted content and making all our competitors just mere file storage by comparison. Obligatory Steve Jobs quote. So the first law of branding is focus. It's staying true to that one idea. Focus means doing less. Fewer features, less content. The more we add, the further we blur the clarity of that simple proposition that we need people to remember. Brand is made of mission and of values and of personality, and the things we care about, made real by what we do. Virtue untested is no virtue at all. And that's true of us as individuals too, right? And I'll tell you a secret, and it's come up before already. I mean, it's when your work aligns with your personal values, talking about what Gavin was talking about, it doesn't feel like work at all. Businesses are made of people. Successful brands aren't defined from the top down, but from the bottom up. The motivations of each individual shape the culture of the organism. In that sense, you're not your job. Your job is being you. Let me tell you another story. What drew me into the web about 20 years ago was my interest in graphic design and in writing and in computers, and it was amazing to see these things come together in a global publishing network where I could make something in my bedroom and push it live to the whole world. But I fell out of love with web design during my agency years. I hated the process of crapping out products for clients who didn't know what they wanted, but knew they wanted to have it by the end of the week, or clients who wanted the moon on a stick for no money. Late nights, blood, sweat, and tears on, as Lauren said, stuff that just doesn't matter. Marketing sites for energy drinks, for God's sake. The process of design had lost its novelty, and the outcomes were not meaningful. I wanted to make things of lasting value. God, if I'd spent the hours that I've spent making websites over the years into writing novels or something, those creative works would outlive me. The websites I made rarely outlasted the job I was in. If you want to see my portfolio, check out the Wayback Machine. I had to look at my own why. Why did I get out of bed? What mission motivated me? What did I care about? Now, I knew, and I've come to know, that I get the greatest kick out of doing stuff like this, talks and workshops and what have you. And even with web design, the best part was always giving the clients the tools to carry on with the site after it had launched. My why was creating that lasting value and giving people new superpowers. And that led to my own pivot. I moved from UX leadership into teaching. And I found that literally the first job in 20 years that I actually loved. Taking everything that I'd learned in the years before and focusing it through a new lens. It was great. I got to live out my fantasy of being, Mr. Holland and John Keating and Professor Jones, a highly qualified and capable teacher who almost certainly hadn't blagged his way in as making it up as he goes along. But judge me on my outcomes, on my meaningful outcomes. Turning out future UX designers with the right attitude and the right approach. And as my students who've gone on to work at Red Badger and Method and IBM and various places, they will tell you, it bloody works. People are my deliverables, who go on to create value of their own. Meaningful outcomes, sending the elevator back down. It made me happier as a person. And I was able to be myself. I may not be the best teacher in the world, but I'm the best me that there is. So maybe I have found religion after all, and indeed it is time to wrap up. I believe we can all benefit from taking a road less traveled. It starts with you. A company's brand is everyone's responsibility. We're in the business of affecting change, changing behavior, changing minds. The vision and values and purpose of the business are expressed through all the things that you create. What you write about defines your brand. The way you maintain a consistent voice and a tone expresses your personality. People want to engage with a brand in the same way that they want to engage with people. So speak in a way that people want to spend time with and get to know. What you offer defines your brand. It shows people what you care about, and it acknowledges your speciality. You're always part of a bigger conversation. If Wikipedia's got a better article than you've got, then just send people over there. How you design your products defines your brand. The choreography of content across channels and the emphasis and restrictions that you place on your product design control the conversation. They draw lines in the sand. Where Android expresses a kind of humility by giving the user the ultimate customization, iOS offers the firm hand of consistent design. A brand can be arrogant or it can be humble, and neither one is bad. You can be the Beatles or you can be the Stones, but you just can't be both. More than anything, how we treat people defines the brand. In this age of instantaneous social feedback, where we're all creators, curators, and consumers of content, there's no room for any bullshit. We've got choice. We demand radical transparency and authenticity from our relationships. And in a world of too much stuff, we want distinctiveness. So give them something they can't get from the next tap away. Brand is that reflection of who you really are. It's the reality of your, if the reality of your company is better than the image, then fix the brand message. But if you want an image more positive than your reality, then you need to fix the company. The things you value drive the things that you do, and it shapes the work that you put into the world. That loyalty, that love that customers could have for the things that you make, that's on you. Wouldn't we all like to come to work today with a sense of purpose? Final thought, and this might be for those of you who are thinking, well, this is all very well, but my company doesn't have a brand. You do. Like information architecture, like user experience design, brand is always there. The only question is how much care and attention you're going to give it. Brand is what they say about you when you're not in the room. What will it take for them to say something nice? Which road will you take? When I stayed true to my values, I was happy, I was fulfilled, I was a nicer person, and people were nicer to me. And sadly, I've strayed from that path a little. But I'll get back to teaching eventually. I know where happiness lies now. For a brief shining moment in my career, I found a fork in the road, and I took the road less traveled. And that has made all the difference. Thanks very much.